What happens when the thing you've barely dared to dream for actually comes true? How does it change you when what you've been believing for and almost given up hope on finally becomes reality? The Redefining Possible podcast spotlights guests with stories of insurmountable odds who have witnessed the impossible become possible with God. Welcome to Redefining Possible. I'm your host, Peyton Hoffman, and with me today is a dear friend, amazing psychotherapist, Alana Gallardo. Alana, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, I am so excited to talk about this today. We're going to be talking about redefining mental health, which is a massive topic. Obviously, we can't cover it all in the time of this show, but I love that we're going to touch on it and tackle it. First of all, for folks who don't know you, professionally or personally, can you give a little background just about yourself, and what you do professionally as we set up this conversation?
Sure, absolutely. So I am a licensed marriage and family therapist, and I am also a pastoral counselor as well. And I went to Fuller Theological Seminary, where I really got to explore the integration of psychology and theology and the integration piece. And
Just so good.
That is my passion right there.
Yeah.
That's what I'm most excited about in the work that I do.
I love that. I love that. And it's so important. And there's so many conversations that we can have that are keeping those two things separate. And I love that your passion is bringing them together. So how did you get into this? I mean, this was not something you knew you'd do growing up. So how did you get into all of this work?
It was a journey of, going through trials and tribulations and going through just some really challenging, heartbreaking things that really the Lord actually redirected me, because I was actually a music major.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was just kind of a supernatural thing where I just kind of really, I felt the leading of the Lord to go into psychology. And from there was just a journey of, years before I went to graduate school, and another tragic thing happened, and then the Lord redirected me once more, because I was getting my master's and trying to study worship. So,
yes. So you were still, and you are a worship leader, so it is a part of what you do.
Yeah.
It's just not your full-time job.
Yeah, exactly.
So you are still using that gifting, and you are still using that part of your life. Now, when you say the Lord redirected you, obviously there's things that I'm a big believer in. We can't really speak about something until we've overcome something ourselves. We speak about, we teach about, we can pour into others in the areas that the Lord has brought us through and the areas that we've overcome. So you're obviously pouring into mental health, and you're pouring into relationships in people's lives, specifically. With a biblical perspective, and, talk to me a little bit about just the things in your life that kind of led you there, as much as you want to share.
Sure, yeah. I would say that I had a pretty comfortable and secure childhood, and, born and raised here in LA.
Which is rare. We don't have a lot. I always have people on the show that it's like, no, they're definitely not from here. So I think you're maybe my second friend that's actually born and raised in LA.
Really? Yes. Yeah. And it's quite an interesting thing to be a native to LA. You feel the pressures, I think, of Hollywood. You feel the pressures of, a part of your psychological development as a child is just, the perfectionism and the beauty culture and like having to be perfect.
Especially as a woman growing up in that too.
Yeah,
wow.
Exactly. So when I got to my teen years, I really started to struggle with depression and kind of what I would now say passive suicidal thoughts.
Okay.
And I had a relationship with the Lord because I was raised Christian, but just kind of, passive thoughts of like, if I didn't wake up tomorrow, I'd be fine. Like if I could just go to be with God, go to be with Jesus, I'd be fine. And I find that a lot of people struggle with those passive suicidal thoughts, And then I got into college and wound up losing my childhood home to toxic mold.
Wow.
And that was probably the biggest challenge up until that point in my life, losing everything I owned. And
it's traumatic.
It was traumatic. Yeah, absolutely. And at that time, my father developed a chronic cough, and 2.5 years later was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, inoperable. and in 4 months he was gone. And
Which is also traumatic.
Also traumatic,
and
yes.
very, very fast. Such a fast loss too.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was very close to my father. We all were. He was a really good father. He was a godly man, and such a great example to us. And I think it was in that time, I was a music major, but I was just not finding peace with it.
Right, right.
And it was in that time I went up to the mountains,
Yeah.
To some retreat, with I think young adults in my church, and it was there that the Lord met me and said, "You're going to study psychology."
Wow. And that wasn't even on the radar up until then.
No.
Wow.
It was not. No. And it's interesting, being obedient to what God is calling you to do is not easy when you don't understand it.
Oh, that's for a lot of people that are listening right now. Yeah. It's not easy. You're like, what am I doing? What is this?
Yeah. Why would you be saying
Yeah,
this?
why?
Why? I didn't understand the why yet.
Yeah.
But it just kind of stepped out in faith and in obedience and said, okay, but I'm gonna listen to you, Lord. And so when I got to my university, which was a small Christian liberal arts college down in Orange County, I had such a desire to be like a worship major, a music major still.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, here I am in the school of psychology.
You're like, I guess I'm doing this psychology thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow.
Like, well, okay. And still not really understanding the end game. Like, where's God leading in all of this?
So you're obeying, but you were also just one step at a time. I don't know why we're doing this. I don't know why I'm studying psychology, but I'm doing it.
Yes.
Because it wasn't something that at the time you really had a love for either.
Yeah.
Right?
I mean, it was a
Interesting.
It was my interest. I was really passionate about mental health because of my own struggles with depression. But then once my father passed away, I was a senior in college, and I was like, I don't want any part of this.
Right.
I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to be a pastoral counselor. I just, I can't imagine myself being on the other side of the couch. I feel so broken. And I remember telling my own therapist at that time, like, I feel so broken. I can't even fathom being in your shoes.
And trying to listen and help in that and help people process that.
Right.
But what an incredible way that the Lord, I mean, just knowing you now, it's just so amazing to me how the Lord has used your pain for a purpose, for his purpose.
Absolutely.
And you're in that place that you could never have imagined you'd be in. And helping so many people too.
Yeah.
Which is, so take us back. So you were in that place of like, I don't want to be a therapist. I don't want to do this. I can't, the brokenness that you were feeling, you're like, I can't imagine holding space for this on a daily basis, this level of grief and pain and just brokenheartedness. I mean, that's a lot every single day to hold for other people.
It is. Yeah, it really is. And you have to really have a grace for it.
Yeah.
Right? You really have to have that capacity or that bandwidth for it, right? And I just, you may have heard the saying, hurt people hurt people.
Yes. And broken people break people.
Yes.
So, yes.
Absolutely. And you hear that so much right now in our current pop culture. But I love to say healed people heal people.
Oh, I love that. I love flipping that on its head. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's so true, even by my own experience, that through my own healing and through, like, to God be the glory, my own restoration, I've been able to then help take others by the hand and walk them down that same journey of healing.
Yeah, wow.
And give them hope.
When you talk about just walking other people down through that journey, what are things that you're seeing specifically like in Christians that you work with? What are some of the themes kind of that you're seeing in people right now, just in society?
Yeah. A lot of hopelessness.
Wow.
Yeah, when they first come in, just kind of that sense of like, I'm in so much pain right now. I think that I can't see past my pain right now. I can't see past this tunnel that I'm in. And there's so much of that in the Bible. There's so much
of that.
Right? We see so many people in the Bible suffering and struggling through really traumatic and painful things. And the Bible doesn't say this is trauma. This is, this is depression. This is, what that is.
It doesn't label it like that.
It doesn't label it like that.
Right. We've come up with those terms later.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Jeremiah, they call him the depressed prophet, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that people are coming in really hopeless. They're really looking like they're at the end of their rope, and they have a lot of passive thoughts of like, Lord, take me.
Wow.
And that's the interesting thing about suicidality. And, it's a really heavy topic, and a lot of people don't like to talk about it. But if we could just kind of take the lid off of it and expose it for what it is, the number one reason people feel that is because of their pain, their mental and emotional pain. That is the number one reason people state why they're struggling with suicidality.
Wow.
And
that's Christians, non-Christians.
That's where the
faith,
research is.
No faith, like, wow. Wow.
Yeah. And the number two reason is attention.
Attention, how? Unpack that.
And so they call it attention.
Okay.
Right? And I would say that, it's probably a lack of love from those around one.
Ooh. Okay.
Right? It's probably, I need some kind of love and affirmation and affection that I am having and experiencing a void of in my life.
Okay.
So they need to be in interpersonal relationships.
Yeah.
They're lacking relationship, or even just feeling validated in their experience.
That's a big one. That's a big one. Just feeling validated, like,
Exactly.
My feelings are worthy of being heard and being expressed. And just knowing that it's a safe place to do that too,
Yes.
that they have safe people around them, friends, coworkers, romantic relationship, or not, but just that there are people that, just will give you that see you as a person, just feeling seen.
Absolutely. And that's what attention speaks to. But when people aren't getting that, that's what we call the crazy making behavior. When your lived experience is invalidated, when your lived experience and your emotions are dismissed. And that's actually what causes a lot of mental health issues and problems, because people begin to question their sense of reality.
Wow. So when they're experiencing things and it's not actually, I don't want to say seen, that's a lot, not the right word for it, but it's not validated,
empathized with.
Yeah. And then they actually question what they're experiencing. Whoa.
That's what causes a person to say, maybe I'm the crazy one.
Wow.
I love to say, if you think that the sky is blue, you look at the sky and you're like, it looks blue to me, right? But everyone around you is telling you it's purple. You're going to begin to question, well, maybe.
Like, am I seeing what I think I'm seeing?
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. And there's so much about that in the Bible too, just about, not keeping our eyes on our circumstances, keeping our eyes on the Lord. So there's a piece of that too, where if we're not getting that validation, if we're not going to the Lord for that validation first, that's a problem. And if we're looking for other people to validate, and if they're stuck in their own stuff and they don't have the capacity to do it or can't do it or don't know how to do it, that's,
Absolutely.
I can see that where so many people, men and women, I'm assuming, would come in with that. And wow. So, and is there any other themes that are just kind of running rampant right now in LA? I know, because your work is primarily LA based. Yeah.
Primarily Southern California, sometimes out of state. I would say that marriages are taking a huge hit right now.
Wow.
Marriages are taking a huge hit post-pandemic.
Okay.
A lot of people, I think their issues that may have been under the table and hidden are coming to the surface.
Okay.
And they're feeling really challenged, in being able to really be harmonious and put down their pride and actually, learn how to live in harmony with each other and communicate well. A lot of couples are coming in with communication.
Communication
issues.
is so bad.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, communication. I need to do a whole podcast on just communication, because especially with men and women, it's a whole, that's a whole separate bag of issues.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It really is. Yeah. I mean, but I love that marriage, that the couples you work with are coming in for help.
Yes.
I mean, I think number one, they're recognizing I want more than this. I want it to be better than this. And I don't have the skill set to do that on my own. And I want to come in and get help. So I just want to highlight that is so important, that people are reaching out for help, that they are seeking Bible-based therapy and Bible-based counseling that will lead them in the right direction and also show them the biblical principles, because the Lord does lay this out. I mean, this is this is biblical.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. But marriages are taking a huge hit. And just, it's so, I mean, obviously, just as someone who is single in LA, like that is something that so hits my heart so deep.
Yeah.
Because just to feel the unity that you can see in couples in marriage, it's so powerful. And of course, we understand why the enemy is attacking that. It's just when you're unified and you're husband and wife and you are in unity and you're in agreement, it is, one, it's biblical. Two, it's ridiculously powerful.
Oh, yeah.
And so, of course, any kind of division is going to come up. But I love that they're coming in together and they're seeking help with that. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
And just helping them to see that their pride and their selfishness are the two biggest key factors that is driving the wedge in their relationship. The research
selfishness.
The research shows it. Secular research shows it.
Yeah.
And it's biblical, to not be selfish, right? To be able to be selfless for the sake of the relationship. To be able to be forgiving daily. Wow. This is secular research saying couples that have been happy and have been in a healthy marriage for decades, up to even 30, 40, 50, even 60 years, are couples that are able to forgive one another daily.
And that's hard. I mean, the daily, it's like, I think about, the disciples asking Jesus, how many times should I forgive? Like 7 times? Yeah. And Jesus saying, no, not 7, like 77 times 7, which is basically just you're forgiving all day. Yeah. It's just never stop forgiving each other.
Absolutely.
You're just keep forgiving in the moment, every single day, every single hour, is just, and it's hard to walk that out.
It is.
I mean, it's hard. And I'm sure it's very hard for couples coming in just because we're in an instant gratification society right now. We're in, Instagram, TikTok, all the just instant, you can buy things instantly. We've got AI coming in.
Oh, yeah.
It's a whole different society now.
Absolutely. Everything is disposable.
Yes.
Right? If you don't work out for me, I can just go and find another model. I can find another person.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, everything and everyone becomes disposable, which is dangerous.
Very.
And also just, really sad.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's just like a really sad way to live.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So tell me, okay, in this work, I want to ask this first. So how is this changing, or has this changed your relationship with the Lord? Because you're in the weeds with couples, with individuals. You are watching the Lord pull up these deeply rooted things that have been there for years, decades sometimes. And, how is this changing your faith in the Lord?
I think because I myself have been at the bottom, at the pit, as the word says. I've been in the dark night of my soul, and the Lord had to rescue me from that and suicidality, and actively suicidal for 24 hours at one time. And knowing that was, something larger than me that was really trying to attack me. Just feeling like this is not me. This is not who I am.
And you knew. You were like, this is not me.
Yeah, I knew. I was like, this has to be like otherworldly. This has to be supernatural. This is, something's going on here that I cannot shake it.
Wow.
And so once I realized, and I was actually living out what I had learned in seminary, which is essentially that we have soul wounds. Yeah. And that, I call it the garbage and the rats.
Oh, explain that. The garbage and the rats.
The garbage and
Never
the rats,
heard that before. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it's actually a concept that comes from Dr. Charles Kraft.
Okay.
Who, was a professor at my seminary, and he basically described the soul wounds as the garbage.
Yeah.
So wherever we've endured, wounds on
throughout our lives, everyone has them.
We all have them.
Because no life is perfect. So there are things that have happened to every person on the planet.
Yes, exactly. That those wounds they become the garbage to our souls. And wherever there's garbage, there will be rats.
Ooh, and okay, what are the rats? I'm afraid to ask this. I don't even know if I know.
The rats are the
want to know.
demons.
Well, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. That's not where I thought you were going with it, but all right.
The rats are essentially the demonic. Yeah. It's the evil realm. It leaves an open door for the enemy to come in, and those are the strongholds.
Yeah.
Biblically, that attach to those traumas, attach to that grief, that loss, the unforgiveness and things like that. So essentially, the more we're able to seek that healing and find that healing and invite the Lord into healing those soul wounds and letting him take out the garbage. And the more the enemy actually loses his grip, he no longer has access to you.
Yeah.
You know,
it's so freeing.
It's so freeing, right? And you know,
I know. Yeah. I've walked through it. Yeah.
I've walked through it.
Yeah.
And that's actually part of what I got trained in, which is EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing therapy. And that actually helps address PTSD. It helps address traumas and then a whole host of other mental health disorders. But it essentially helps to remove and heal the lies that we believe as a result of those soul wounds. And I do a little integration or hybrid model where I invite Jesus into those memories.
Yeah. Because you want to replace the lie with the truth.
Exactly. Yeah. And ultimately, Jesus is the way, the truth.
And he is the healer. So it's just, it's not about you healing someone. It's, you know, the Lord healing that person. And so we're keeping that focus on the Lord the whole time.
Exactly.
And I want everyone on the planet to experience EMDR because I just think it's so important. Because again, we all have stuff that we've lived through that just, it's life. And there's things that can be healed. And there are ways, especially when you're doing it in partnership with the Lord, there's ways to do this that are deeply healing, you know, forever. You know, it's not, it's just, I think it's so important for people. And it's something that I know in Christian circles, it's not really talked about that much. And so I love just that we're having this time to sit and talk about, you know, soul wounds, like they're real, first of all. And the fact that there are communities and people that can help. Okay, so Alana, we've talked a lot about just, you know, soul wounds, which are real, super important. And that I love that there's community out there to help people in these times and in these seasons of their lives where they're, because sometimes you're not aware of it, it's subconscious, but once it comes to the surface and you're aware of like, oh, there's something that's off, there's something I need to go get healing for, whether that's, you know, inner healing, pastoral counseling, EMDR, whatever the method is that's needed. Talk to me a little bit about just the importance of community in all of this. I'm a big believer, I mean, you and I are both prayer warriors, so I am a big believer in having praying friends, friends that will pray over you and pray for you. It's a huge part of my life. Talk to me a little bit about community and the importance of that in your work and just what you've seen.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the research shows that relationships and just individuals that are struggling in their mental health and the importance of their relationships and how supportive those structures are and how we call them protective factors.
Okay.
Right? Okay. They are protective because they preserve their lives. They quite literally are their lifeline. And so when we're trying to counteract, let's say, for instance, for example, suicidality, the number one thing is for a family member or a friend to actually call it for what it is and ask the person directly, how are you feeling? Right? Talk to me about you not wanting to be here anymore. Talk to me about why you're in so much despair. Because the more the enemy is able to keep it hidden and kind of back us into a corner, the more he's going to be successful. The more that actually is more likely to happen. And so just in being able to talk about it, just in being able to get it out and talk about your pain or talk about your fears, like such as with anxiety. Right?
That's a big one here in LA.
Lots of fears and anxiety. Just being able to talk about it with a trusted counselor, therapist, parent, a friend, and your community is actually going to be a really protective factor and is going to, begin the healing process. You know, the Lord made us for relationship. He made us to be in relationship. And prayer is nothing more than a conversation with the Lord, with God, and being able to seek the Lord together in prayer and to be able to invoke his presence and to invite him into those minute details of our lives that we think it doesn't matter. It's not important to anyone else. So it shouldn't matter to God. I hear that all the time.
That it doesn't, it's small, so it's not, the Lord's concerned with bigger things. Is that kind of more of the concept of what you're hearing? Yeah.
Or the sentiment, exactly. But these are just things that we're projecting from our childhoods onto God. As if like, oh, why would he import himself with with this little thing that I'm dealing with? Like, I'm just little me. But he does. He's so personal. He's so
cares
intimate.
about everything. He cares about the birds and the grass growing and the, he cares about every detail. I mean, God loves details.
Yes.
He loves details. He's in the details.
He's in the details.
Yeah.
And also there's this theological concept of perichoresis, right? Of how the Trinity, God the Father, God the Son, and God the Holy Spirit are in a divine dance with one another, right? And so that speaks to how he's in community with himself, right? The three persons of the Trinity. So he created us to be in that divine dance with him, in worship, in love, and with one another, right? So how do we engage in a dance? And even the secular researchers who are the premier, marital therapy researchers in the world, someone such as Dr. Sue Johnson, who founded emotionally focused therapy for couples, EFT, she actually refers to the marital relationship as a dance.
Wow. I love that. I love that because it is. I love that.
Yeah. And so she's like, it's a dance, it's like a tango.
It's a flow.
Or you find and figure out the footwork and the dance steps and the choreography for your relationship. But God also has a choreography for his own relationship to himself and to us. Yeah. Right? It's a very intentional dance that he does with himself and with us, which is hence perichoresis. Choresis coming and stemming from choreography, right? Or being similar to choreography. So he's very intentional in his relationship with us. And we are the ones that are kind of, putting our heads in the sand going, he doesn't care. He's not intentional.
And it's not true. And that's a lie.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not true.
Yeah.
And for folks who are in this and maybe, maybe they're going, okay, I don't know where to start. I don't, something feels off. I don't know where to start. If they don't know how to pray about this, just the importance of having people that will pray with you, I think is so massive. I mean, I just think that's so impactful because a lot of folks don't get help because they don't know where to start.
Yeah.
They don't know. And we're talking about a lot of that, of just going to, like you said, going to a local pastor, or going to a friend and just saying hey, something's off. Yes, let's talk about it, but also let's pray about it. I think more importantly, let's pray about this. And,
absolutely.
If you're in that, if someone listening or watching is in that and they don't know how to start praying about it, really connecting with somebody that will just pray for them, I think is so important because sometimes we don't have the words. Yeah. That's in the Bible says that the Holy Spirit will intercede with groanings, because there are many times our words fall short. We don't have the language for it. And I just think that's so important of having people that are trusted people around you. And like you said, it can be an actual lifeline in someone's life. Will you talk a little bit about just, you've touched on a few of the things that you've been through, but just when people were really a lifeline for you?
Absolutely. I remember when I was feeling suicidal many years ago, I reached out, to three of my closest women in my inner circle.
Oh, that's so great.
I remember texting them and just saying, please pray for me.
Something's wrong.
I'm not okay. Yeah. And I remember telling them, I'm not okay.
Wow.
And, them really understanding that I actually meant it.
Yes.
And I didn't even say what was
going on.
I didn't even really want to say what was going on.
Okay.
But I think something in the spirit, they sensed it. Yeah. They started calling. They were like, what is going on with you? What is wrong? And it's so, so important to have those kinds of relationships where they're in tune with the Spirit, they're strong in the Lord, and they're going to have that discernment drop in them. God's going to be like, hey, pay attention to this one. Yeah. Really intercede, really pray for her. And they did, and they prayed me through. And then I sought out my pastor's wife the next day. I remember that. And she prayed over me and prayed for me. And the irony, I think I might have mentioned to you, was that week I was slated to help lead worship at a conference.
We were talking about this before the show, but and which is so wild.
The theme of that conference was Let There Be Life.
Oh my goodness.
And that was the irony, was that all I could think about was death.
Wow.
And it was for a period of about 24 hours. But then realizing through another therapist friend of mine who's a Christian, I ran into her. I was working with her at the time at the agency I was working at. I was working with former foster youth, homeless foster youth, just such a,
A vulnerable population.
A vulnerable
Yeah,
population.
absolutely.
And so that's kind of how that had kind of been introduced to me, because two of my clients that week had been suicidal.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
And my friend, I reached out to her at the agency while I was, at the offices, and she pulled me outside and she said, let's pray.
Yeah.
She was a Christian and a therapist, and
So good.
and still a close friend to this day. And she said,
I love that.
the Lord is telling me you're believing a lie.
Like something.
What is that lie?
What is the lie?
And we got that lie, and we just bound and rebuked that. We just pulled it out.
I love it.
I've never struggled with that lie ever since.
Yeah.
But it's part of it is being able to identify
What it is.
the lie, the lies that we believe, right?
Oh, I mean, you know this because you know me, but I am gung-ho about breaking off the lies.
Yes.
Honestly, that's kind of part of where Redefining Possible came from, is just redefining what's possible in our lives. And, what are we believing that's too small or too limited or just outright wrong?
Yeah.
That somehow we've taken that as truth, but it's actually not. And I'm all about just uprooting that in my life, in the lives of the people that I love.
Yeah.
And just, it's so powerful. It's so important. And a lot of the work that you do is doing that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in there just
100%.
I see you as like a gardener. You're in there just like ripping up weeds.
Like,
it's messy.
Yeah.
It's, dirt's flying everywhere, and you're just ripping up weeds in these gardens of people's hearts, what they're, that have just taken root there for so long.
And I know it's just it's conceptual, but, and some of the listeners might be like, oh, this is kind of, just like, these are nice, lofty ideas.
Right.
But they're not. They're not just lofty ideas, and they may kind of take it for granted. But I mean, I've been in training with supervisors who said, you may have a couple come to you for years and never get healing, never get reconciled, and never get their healing. Or you may have someone come to you for years and never get better. But the truth of the matter is, I've had individuals come to me, on the point of wanting to not be here anymore. And just in one session, the next time I see them, they're like, I haven't had a suicidal thought since.
Which is amazing.
Which is all glory be to God.
Yes.
But, it's because of my belief that God is all powerful, and he can just remove those lies that we're believing and help someone get out of that pain. And just the work that I do with EMDR, but also couples coming in and saying, we're on the brink of divorce. And then just a month or two later, they're saying, oh yeah, we're better now. We're okay. You know?
So it actually, the Lord is actually moving in this, and he is healing this, and he is healing families and individuals and hearts, relationships, communication.
That's what he did for me. And I think that, to answer your question, what the Lord, how he's really done that in me, is absolutely rescuing me from the brink of death, from the pit, and the dark night of my soul, and no longer being in despair, no longer, and just living with like that heart of gratitude and that, hopefulness for the future, and now having dreams and plans for my future. And being able to cast vision. He says, my people perish for lack of vision.
That's true. It's true. And it's hard to have vision when you're just broken and you're stuck in it. When you're just in the muck. It's hard it is. I mean, I want to acknowledge that for people. It is hard to see anything but that when you're just like deeply in it. And when you're in the grief and you're in the, when things are just very acute. That's a very real place. And it is a hard place to have vision, feels impossible to have vision in that place for people. So I get that. And I want to just acknowledge that for people that are listening and watching, that is a very real thing. But I also love that the Lord knows that, and he's using you to dive into those places with people, whether it's individuals or couples, families, and to heal that, to bring healing in that and possibility in that and hope in that, of just, hey, life can be different. And, praise God they came in for help, but also just like life doesn't have to be this way.
Right.
Like, it doesn't have to be the way you think it is.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't have to be the way it is right now. It can be different. And I just think that's such a freeing concept. For you, just because your life has changed. I mean, going from thinking you were going to just lead worship and that was going to be your full-time job to going into, you know, counseling and therapy and all that that has opened up in your world.
Right.
And the Lord taking the freedom he brought in you and using you to bring freedom in other people. How has that just redefined for you who you are and what's possible for your life?
Yeah, I think it's definitely led to my own sense of freedom, my soul's sense of freedom,
Wow.
and taking kind of that glass ceiling off of what's possible in life. You know, I never imagined myself being on a couch with you.
Yes.
Here, never imagined.
Here we are.
Yeah.
We are doing this.
Yes, and it's so, I'm so incredibly grateful.
Yeah.
You know, I'm so grateful to the Lord. I'm so grateful to all of the people that have loved me through it and through my hardest times. And I think part of it is our own tenacity to also contend for our joy.
Yeah.
I call it contending for our joy because everything in this life is trying to take away our joy and steal our joy. And joy, as C.S. Lewis said, is the serious business of heaven.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's so good. Yeah.
And we can have that joy, we can attain that joy, but we just have to contend for it. We have to fight for it for our lives.
Yeah.
And I did. I made the decision intentionally after multiple traumas in my life, several, to say, no, I'm going to contend.
Yeah.
I'm going to fight for my healing. I'm going to fight for my joy. And I think if there's any, you know, kind of takeaway for me in the work that I've done,
Right.
you know, and with how that has redefined my relationship with the Lord is just that this too shall pass, that everything is temporary, nothing is permanent, you know, and if you truly do just fix your eyes on God, you know, in time, he will heal your broken heart and he will set your mind free. And you just have to seek his face for it, you know, and partner with him and in co-creating the future.
Yes.
Right? And so a lot of us take a very passive stance. And I, for many years, wanted to take a very passive
Explain
stance.
how, just being like, oh, you're going to dump it in my lap. You know, that is that what you mean by taking a passive stance on that?
Or just, you know, kind of wishing and hoping and dreaming that something will change, and it never does.
Wow.
Because I'm not taking a proactive approach to making that change.
So talk to me about when you say the proactive approach, what do you mean by that for
Like
you?
seeking out therapy, seeking out community, literally praying that God would bring friendships into my life.
Yes. Wow.
I have prayed for friendships. Most people pray for a partner.
Yeah.
And I've prayed for a partner, but I've also prayed in my friendships.
Yes.
I've actually asked the Lord for my friendships.
So good.
I've had families say, like, you've got really incredible friends.
You're like, I've prayed for them.
I've prayed them in, yes. I've prayed for them. Like, the Lord is so good to bring in those people that are just, like, they're such an asset to me mentally, emotionally. They're such a strength for me.
That's so good.
Right? And I just know at any given moment, I can open up my phone and there's, like, 9 women there that I can reach out to, you know? And no one needs that many people, you know, it just
But we do.
1 or 2.
We do.
Yeah,
No.
but we also do.
We need that kind of community. That's a thick community. That's wonderful. I mean, you want to have these friendships that go deep with you, that you know they've got you and you've got them. I think that's so, that's so important. Everyone needs that. You know, it's, I mean, you start with one person, but everyone needs those, that level of just, it's like a safety net. It's like, you know, building a safety net under you that, like, if you fall, you only fall so far. You know, there are people there to catch you.
Absolutely.
And you've got the Lord there to catch you. And I think that's just so important. I mean, that's kind of how I picture it. It's like a trapeze that has like a safety net under it. It's like, no, your people are your safety net.
They are.
You know,
they really are.
They're, you know, if you've got the right people, they're the ones, they will catch you.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so important for men and women, especially like men that may, and just society tells men something different. You know, it just go make it on your own. You got it. And it's like, no, you need community. You need community. You need each other.
Yeah.
I love that.
absolutely.
That's so important.
And the quality of those relationships is wholly dependent on our willingness to be vulnerable
Yes.
in those relationships. right? Because it's not just about having fun with people. It's not just about breaking bread with them, but it's how deep is your conversation going?
Yes.
And how vulnerable are you being transparent about those harder emotions?
Yeah.
That makes all the difference.
I have a coach right now, and Holly Joe, and the first thing she said on our cohort call, we've got like 7 women on there, was, vulnerability is freeing. Like vulnerability is just the heights to which you're going to go are dependent on how vulnerable you're willing to be.
Yeah.
And so it's really like your height depends on your depth. And that's the way, that's, you think about skyscrapers, like they have to build 5 times deeper than they go high to hold the height that's going to go. And so the Lord he operates that way. He'll take us that far deeper to go higher, but we also can do that with each other.
Absolutely.
And I think that's so amazing. Yeah. Because it's true. Vulnerability is so freeing. And as a woman who, this, I wrote a book, Fighting for Joy, when the Lord was teaching me how to fight for joy.
Yes.
So in that season of my life, I was just in a really hard place, and he was teaching me it. And as I was learning what it looked like to actually fight for joy in my own life, I was writing it out and, crying through the writing. It was the whole thing. It was just, it was very messy, but beautiful. And I love that the Lord has used that in other women's lives to teach them how to fight for joy. And so what I love in your story is that as the Lord brought freedom into your life, healing from suicidal ideations, specifically, but just mental freedom, emotional freedom, he's now like, okay, you're going to be my vessel that's going to bring that freedom to other people, specifically to the things you've been through, which is so profound. Just the like, oh, I've gone through this and it wasn't wasted. Like it's actually become the thing that he's using.
Yeah.
Which is so amazing.
Yeah.
Well, what's next for Alana? What do you have on the radar? What is coming next? Talking about dreaming and having vision.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you for asking that. I actually am currently working on writing a book myself.
Oh my goodness. Yes. So exciting.
Yes, so exciting. It's been a decade in the making.
Yeah.
Actually, if I'm being honest, 2 decades in the making, because in my younger years, I had lost my voice. I was so passive. I was so lamb-hearted that I really didn't have the courage to advocate for myself in my relationships. And that was part of the problem of why I had been carrying so much pain. And then the Lord brought me through this journey and my education and everything, and came to find out that psychologists have identified that, we have 2 basic temperaments we're born with, a passive or an aggressive temperament. And the Lord gave me this download of like, I have intentionally placed more of my lamb heart into the passive temperamented and more of my lion heart into the aggressive temperamented. And being a lamb-hearted person, I had lost my voice, and I've worked with so many individuals now who have told me, I don't feel like I have a voice.
Wow.
I don't feel like, they feel so defeated. And I was there, and I'm able to help them come out of that.
Great.
Come out of what I call the turtle shell, turtling in.
It's amazing.
And to find their voice and to be self-advocates.
So good.
To have the courage and the boldness. And I say, pray about that. Invite the Lord to be your backbone.
Yes.
And I say, he became my backbone.
I love that.
He actually gave me a spine. I'm no longer spineless.
Yeah.
I'm not a doormat. I
don't know if you ever were, but okay. That's good.
See, the fact that you're even saying that, my family and friends might beg to differ.
That's amazing. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah. And it really absolutely is amazing, because I have now found the balance of both the lion and the lamb heart of God. And that's ultimately, I believe, his true
we all
divine
want
design.
That balance. I was going to say we all want that balance. We all want both.
Divine
you don't want to be too far on either side.
Exactly.
Yeah, which is
and that's
amazing.
part of what I am writing into my book, The Lion and the Lamb.
It's going to be so good. I love it. We'll have you back when it's out and ready.
Awesome.
And so tell me, for folks that have been listening and watching, and this is just hitting home for them, and they want to reach out to you, how can they reach out to you? How can they connect from you? How can they learn more? What's the best way for them to reach you?
Yeah, sure. They can reach out to me at alanagallardo.com, and also known as Serenity Now Christian Therapy. Yeah, that's my private practice.
I love it. And if they're not in LA, you can still do virtual work as
Yes,
well.
I do telehealth.
Okay.
All within the state of California.
Okay. So I love it. And then So they can reach out to you and they can connect with you if they just have questions about anything that we've talked about today, as well, through your website.
Through my website.
Okay, and go ahead and spell it for people, because just it is a different spelling.
It's a different spelling. Yes, it's a Spanish last name.
Yeah.
So it's a Alana Gallardo. AlanaGallardo.com.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being here today. I've loved having you on the show. It's always a joy. It's always special. And I just know this topic's so profound for people. So I'm just excited we got to dive into a little bit of it.
Yes,
Oh
me
my
too.
goodness. Thank you all so much for joining us for this very important conversation today and this very special episode of Redefining Possible. I'm your host, Peyton Hoffman. Can't wait to see you all next time. What happens when the thing you've barely dared to dream for actually comes true? How does it change you when what you've been believing for and almost given up hope on finally becomes reality? The Redefining Possible podcast spotlights guests with stories of insurmountable odds who have witnessed the impossible become possible with God.